but whatever. Anyway, this is the last section here of this level. I think is this still the first level of this world? I don't even remember. It's been going on for a long time. But oh well. I'm trying to think back to like games with haunted house levels and whether or not I really like them. I think I do generally. They usually all include like most of the same things. I mean, I guess the haunted house motif is fairly specific, but I don't know. I could jazz it up a little bit. I'm like, I like Luigi's Mansion, but I mostly just like it because it's a Luigi thing. Like, I'm just happy that Luigi gets a game. And if I remember correctly, yeah, my plan is to go down there. This is what happens when you record the gameplay like weeks before you record the fucking commentaries. You forget everything you did. But yeah, there's some stuff over here. These little ride things here that you have to jump on remind me of a lot of things. The fact that these hit you, like hurt you if you are in their way, makes me think of how it was annoying in Battle for Bikini Bottom. The bumper boats hurt you if you touch them. I don't know why. They're going like 2 miles an hour, but whatever. Yeah, this just dumps you back at the beginning, which is kind of annoying. It also reminded me of when I was at Disneyland last year, and we went on the Haunted Mansion ride? I guess you'd call it a ride. I mean, we got on a roller coaster looking thing on a track and moved. Except when it wasn't, because it got stuck, actually, for like 20 minutes. Like, it was a long-ass time. It probably wasn't 20 minutes. It was probably like 4 minutes, but it felt like a long time. That we were just, like, sitting in the car and looking at the one, like, little display that we were in front of ghosts dancing, and hearing the music repeat and hear them say their little catchphrases 400 times. And in between every time they said the catchphrase, the lady on the thing would come on and be like, "The ride is having a problem. Wait for the problem fixers to fix it." And, you know, like, "Don't take your dick out on the ride." Like, every 2 seconds. For like 10 minutes. I don't know what was happening. Maybe I heard through the grapevine, just by like hearing other people bitching about it in the cars near us, that it was like someone fell out of a car. But like, it does not take you that long to get back in the car unless the person like became a gelatinous mess after falling out, like, and they had to drink them back up or something, or reassemble all their body parts.
I was afraid he'd say that.
This tape shows attractions going out of control and animatronics attacking people. Could it be sabotage? These springs come from the hamburger-shaped trampolines.
So yeah, now we have access to a few more food items. And God, I'll be damned if smashing open those barrels isn't really satisfying. I don't know what it is. I've mentioned it before, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that there's just something about in these, especially in these licensed games, but it's really mostly, I guess, just in, like, I guess platformers primarily, but I can also think of like action-adventure games that have it, you know, in degrees, but anything where attacking, using the attack button to break open shit and collect things from in them, I will probably have fun playing it. if that's a thing that you can do and are encouraged to do. Yeah. It's just really satisfying. I've known it since I was little. It just does sparks a little jolt in the back of my brain. Just gives my brain a nice massage. Oh, I guess this is the first time we've seen this costume. Yeah, so this is the bat costume. I think it's just called the bat costume. I don't think it has like a fun, cartoony, punny name like the Scooby-Doo suit or whatever. But yeah, this one is fine. I'm not a big fan of the suits, if I'm being honest, in this game. Like, I like the idea of it. I've always found that idea really appealing back when I was a youngin'. And yeah, you can just still use it to fly, and I fucking miss it, though, because I'm awesome at this game. When I was little, I would make up, as I sometimes do now, but not nearly as often or, like, stupidly as when I was a kid, but, why can't I do this? Jesus Christ. Broccoli! I would come up with ideas for video games and movies and shit, and I would usually, one of my favorite things to do, when I say come up with ideas for them, I literally just mean, like, in my head, be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I made a movie as video game that I like? I mean, that's, like, essentially what, like, Hollywood executives do, right? I can do that shit, but, I wouldn't be writing full scripts as I would if I were seriously considering an idea now, or, like, an outline for a script, but sometimes I would write out, like, what I guess we would call a treatment. I didn't know that I was doing that then, but, like, a couple-page summary of the plot from beginning to end. And a lot of the time, my favorite thing to do was draw the poster and the DVD box, and I would get a DVD case, and I would trace it. I would trace the outline of it on some paper, and then within the box, I would draw, and I would put, like, the rating and everything, because I loved that shit when I was a kid. I loved looking at, like, the rating and the runtime and all the credits on the back and the special features list and the thingy and the fucking what do you call it, the summary, the, like, log line on the back, and then of course the cover art on the front. I just liked looking at covers, and I still do. I mean, it's why I want to, like, build up my DVD and Blu-ray and video game collections that I have, is because, I mean, I don't have impressive ones at all just because of a lack of space and money. But that's why I want to expand them, is because, well, for one thing, there are a lot of movies and games that I want to own, just so that I can consume them when I want. But also because I like seeing them displayed. I like holding them and looking at them. It makes me feel good to see them. As always, it brings back fond memories of Blockbuster. That's probably why I enjoyed going to Blockbuster. I mean, I would spend, like, I wouldn't just go in there and pick what I wanted. Like, I usually had an idea. There was usually always something coming out on DVD, and then, you know, just whatever my whim was as far as whatever Xbox game I was going to rent that day, that week. Sometimes I would try something new on occasion, but most of the time I would just stick with my couple dozen or so games that I liked alternating between, and usually playing up to a certain point and failing and then stopping. I don't know if there's a way to destroy those Jack-in-the-Boxes, or whatever they are, I guess, but if there are, let me know, because it'd certainly be great to not have to hear that screeching sound all the time. I also think the music in this is, like, really weird. That was excellent. Like, it's not bad or anything, but just, like, you listen. I mean, you could probably hear it. This part's not bad, though. But the main, like, guitar riff part of it is just, I don't know, it feels a little bit out of place, in comparison to the other pieces of music in this game, but what do I know? It reminds me a little bit of the music in the open season video game, which is just hilariously, like, mediocre. Like, all the music kind of sounds like stuff that you could hear on, like, a Kevin MacLeod, like, royalty-free music thing, which I have tons of experience on, let me tell you. As a person who's been making videos for over a decade and went to film school and had to find music that I could use in projects that had to be, like, exhibited and couldn't use copyrighted material. Yeah, I've definitely done my share of hours of exploring such sites, and it sounds like something this song in particular, this song and a lot of songs in the open season soundtrack of the game sound like those songs to me. This one, not so much. It has a little bit more character, and weirdly isn't as polished sounding as a lot of those, because some of those, like, they're pretty good, like, production value of like the instrumentation and everything usually. I don't know. Cabbage. And this plant is just here. It bothers me. I don't know why you... I mean, I guess there's a bunch of them, but just the fact that it's there right behind the thing, it makes me think that it's significant. I don't know. I like these big things. I like how this park, you have to, like, jump around on huge things and, like, go down a water slide just to get from point A to point B. Like, when you need to go to the bathroom, you gotta hop on this fucking slide and jump around on some drums. That's a little bit of a bummer. Anyway, I feel like I was saying something like 10 minutes ago and I went on a million other tangents and now I forget. I mean, let's see. I was talking about the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. I mentioned that. That was a while ago, though. I talked about the open season song and this song in this game. Well, anyway. Speaking of Haunted Mansions, I'm not a big fan of haunted houses. Oh, I think, honestly, me saying I'm not a big fan, which is like my catchphrase whenever I'm talking about any video game ever, it reminded me of something I was saying earlier about how I'm not the biggest fan of the suits in this game, just in how they're implemented. The only one that's really interesting to me is the Kung Fu one, which is the one that they get by far the most mileage out of throughout the game. But even that one's kind of limiting. I don't like that you don't have all of your powers when you have them, and you can't, like, roll or anything like that. Because if you had, like, it would be cool if all of the suits had, like, unique variations of those other moves, but they just don't. So that kind of bugs me. And then the last one is just kind of underwhelming. It serves one very singular purpose, and you have to use it, like, 2 levels in the whole game, and then it's pretty irrelevant for the rest of it, and yeah, I'm just not hype about it. But then the bat one, I mean, it's fun to fly and whatever, but you really can only glide, and again, it only is really in very specific scenarios where it's useful. And there's, like, whole sections of the game that you'll probably see in a video or two that are just flying, and, like, those are fine, but at the end of the day, that's just like another slide mission, basically. Just, you know, something where your movement is involuntary, or you're pushed along and have to avoid obstacles and just get to the end. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the kind of suit stuff that I would like. Honestly, I think Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which is a game that I have compared this game to with regard to the suits before, I think that game does it pretty well, honestly. I mean, they all are unique. Some of them get rid of your attacks, and not all of them are, like, super cool, but the ones that are, like, different and the ones that they actually do get a lot of mileage out of, like the Mermaid Man costume and to a degree the Jellyfishing costume, but the Mermaid Man costume is best in my opinion. They like significantly make the gameplay like different, and you know, I don't know, I just think it's a good use of that mechanic. Beating up large swaths of enemies with the Kung Fu suits has gotten easier since I've started doing this big slam, because it is a pretty easy and surefire way to minimize the amount of damage you're taking and maximize the amount of damage that the boys are taking. And I do like the blue ninja costume. It's pretty good. There's an upgrade. That's what the gold coins are for, I figured out. The blue coins are just that, you know, in all the overworlds and everything, the machines, the mubber machines for the suits are all accessible. And then the gold coins, I believe, make it so that you get the cool upgraded aesthetic thing. And there's one for the bat, and I think it's just called, like, the Super Bat, but I don't even remember what it does. I think it, like, I don't know, what would Super Bat even do? Just make your wings big? I don't fucking know. So yeah, now we're in the big mechanisms behind the, water park. Don't really know how that hit me. I thought it was over the gap, but whatever. I have noticed this recurring thing in these levels, where in these worlds where, and I mean it makes sense, where you know, you kind of navigate the facade of the area that you're in, and then at least one portion of one level as it goes on will have you be like navigating the machinery behind all of the trickery and stuff, which I think is interesting. I think it goes well with the whole theme of, you know, unmasking the deception that is in Scooby-Doo or whatever. But it's an interesting motif, and you know, the choices of types of areas and stuff, both in like what kinds of worlds there are, even though they're only like 3.5. There's a fourth one, but it's just the same one at the beginning and end. But yeah, having those be what they are, where it's like it's a Chinatown and a theme park, and then spoilers, the last one is a museum, and you know, so all like curated environments where everything has been it was excellent. At least I got the mubber on the way down, though. There's, you know, a constructed perspective of what is on display, and obviously all of the people in these worlds are, you know, that are operating them are doing so with some level of trickery and fraud. But I just think, you know, in terms of, you know, what kinds of locales they chose for the levels in this game and what kinds of areas you explore in the levels of those worlds, I think were good choices for the things in the game. So yeah. I believe that is, or we're coming up on the end of the level. Or I'm sorry, this isn't the end of the level, but we are coming up on the cutoff point for the video, because this level is pretty long, and extends into this next section. I don't know how I feel about these weird perspective things with the fixed camera. They can be a little weird. I don't mind it here so much. I don't love it when you're doing the like enemy rushes, the ambushes, I suppose. This can be a little bit disorienting, that the camera cuts and changes perspective halfway up these air vents, or fans, but it's okay. Yeah, next time more of this level.